You're listening to the We Are Libertarians podcast network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com. You're listening to the We Are Libertarians network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com. This is exciting.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast on the We Are Libertarians network. I'm your host, Jeremiah Morrell. As always, I'm joined by our co-host, Dakota Davis. Hey, there he is.
I'm here.
The other two voices.
Sometimes it's only audio.
Yeah. Because we are a podcast, and our podcast
I
is
only
about our
take
live.
care of the YouTube side of things.
Dakota only cares about the video nowadays. All right, so our show is about our lives in rural Indiana. This show is about the folks who are involved in politics. We promise that our episodes are going to be a fun and easy listen. We interview people who are influencers, elected officials, political experts, and folks we just find interesting.
Chris is none of those.
We have two very interesting people with us today.
Do you read it like that every time?
Generally.
Yeah.
All right, let's pick it up. Let's get a little more energy, a little more spice.
So
welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty. My name is Jeremiah Morrell.
So Spicy Spangle over on my right, dear leader making his return appearance. Episode 29, and we finally got him back.
I know. It's I don't know what I started, but I regret it. I apologize to all of you listeners. I did not realize the terrorism that I was unleashing on this county. It's like he bought a newspaper. You know, Hitler bought all the newspapers, and that's how he took over Germany. And that's basically what has happened in Newcastle. And
we have our own media source.
I'm here to fight you.
I'm glad to have you.
I'm happy to be here.
Taking a photograph of Mr. Spangle here with the newspaper behind us from when we broke news a few weeks ago.
I'm very excited to be here. I'm very. This studio is beautiful. It is glamorous. It is better than the Big Show studio for sure. So congratulations on all the growth. And yeah, you guys. I think you've had an episode hit 1,000 listeners.
We've been very close.
Yeah,
on just the podcast, and then we've of course gone live here. So honestly, I think since we went to video, we've probably started to kill our podcast listens a little bit, whereas people are shifting over to the video side.
Yeah, as long as people are listening and watching. So
but there's more consuming now than ever. So we're
very
excited.
Congratulations, boys!
All right, and the other voice that you're going to hear, making his first appearance on the air, but not his first appearance on studio. You'll recognize his thumb from the picture of Darren Jacobs the last time we did the show. It's Mr. Chase Peyton. Welcome, Chase.
What up?
So Chase is here because it's Wednesday, and he's filling in for Clay. Clay didn't quit or get fired. He's just on Republican suspension. We can't have him on too many shows in a row because the Libertarian Network starts to censor us.
Oh no, I trust me. I've had plenty of Republicans on my show. It's your mom that really has a problem with all the Republicans. That's why you got four out of 5 stars. I laughed for an entire Sunday when I saw Jeremiah's mom accidentally. I didn't know it was an accident at the time, but she rated this podcast 4 out of 5 stars, and I was howling all day long over it. And then she yelled at me because I don't know what I'm doing. It's an accident.
None of you tried to help me fix it. Yeah. It's all your fault.
But maybe if you had more libertarians on, you might get that 5th star.
We can hope.
Hey, look at that. Cade Coger's watching.
Hey, look at Cade.
He's usually in jiu-jitsu right now. Did you not know about his jiu-jitsu training?
He's what's Cade doing with jiu-jitsu? Is he paying you to mention his name in the first 5 minutes?
Yeah, it's kind of like a Darren Jacobs thing.
Yeah. Well, we got Darren mentioned. We got Cade mentioned. We've got all of our token fans
it's all
mentioned.
Out of the way.
Of course, in the back is Christy Lavery, our super fan, one of our super fans.
Yep. She's wearing a "Here Come the Mummies" t-shirt.
Oh yeah, I'm sure she's not dressed like one of the mummies though.
No,
she's
that's
not.
disappointing.
All right, so we got a lot. We don't have time for this fun and frivolity. We have real jokes to get into.
We do, yeah.
Real recap. That's why Chase is here.
Like, here's the thing: we actually, we'll see how this goes because we actually planned out our banter.
Well,
this one. Like, I don't think that you can do that. Like, that breaks the
we
laws.
have talking points.
I literally just looked at this and I was like, I'm not going to look at this because it's going to ruin the surprise of the conversation. And then I thought, this is better planned out than an episode of any We Are Libertarians ever. And it's like, and there's no news on here. It's not like
no,
there's
we
anything,
have token news at the end if we get to it. If we're
but
good.
it's like you mapped out, like I'm not even going to say, but it's very funny.
It looks like a Bare Naked Ladies set list. All right, so we're going to set the stage. We had Dakota's big weekend in Nashville, Tennessee.
What's happening with Dakota?
Dakota, 10 days from now, is getting married.
Oh, boy.
What?
10 days.
I've not heard about this.
You have?
Well, I mean,
you didn't get your invitation.
I didn't
in the
get an
mail?
invite to the wedding.
did you
have
did
to
you
talk
go to the
to Audrey.
website and send a gift? Because that's how I got my wedding invitation.
I don't do gifts at weddings.
Well, then
So
why
you send it. You
why
send
do
the
you
gift
expect to
and
get
then you
invited?
the invite.
I gave you the gift of this podcast, Dakota, and also you had a bachelor party.
We'll
and
get down to that.
Yeah,
the
we'll
podcast
get
gift
to
a
the
little bit
podcast.
later.
and
It's
I
on the
wasn't
list.
invited.
No, we had you must be willing to drink. It's one of the credentials.
See, this is racism at its finest. This is exactly what I expected in Newcastle,
So
Indiana.
the podcast is going to be covering the thing that the invited guests were on, and you were
So
you were
you're telling me
you
that
were
you-
honestly probably pretty close to getting invited as we get down the list.
Well,
here.
all your friends were there, Dakota. We can explain that. I don't know if that's on the list.
It's not.
But one time I saw all my friends, except for me, having a fun tailgating at a party out front of a Colts game, and I
Yes.
was like, "Thanks for the invite, guys." And then Jeremiah, without missing a beat, jumps on Facebook with a photo, a group selfie, says, "All my friends are here." You dick. So it was very fun.
There we go. All right, so for convenience of everybody involved, the best man of the wedding organized the bachelor party for Nashville, Tennessee.
Yep. Yeah, Trevor Hinshaw is my best man, and he at that time he lived in Huntsville, Alabama, had a job down there and was working there. So we planned all this. We were like, okay, well, Nashville's halfway, and it sounds like a lot of fun, so we'll do that. And at the time, Chase was also living in Florida.
Chase lived in Florida, so two were going to come from the north, two were going to come from the south.
Yep.
We were going to meet halfway and have a good old
Now,
time.
how long ago were you talking about this?
This
June
is
or July?
Yeah.
It was a while
So
ago.
you've had
few
plenty of
months ago.
time to get my invite together to this, but you didn't. It's okay.
We
Go
did.
ahead. Continue. It's fine.
But anyway, so what was it, like 1 month ago? Probably.
Yeah, about a month ago.
or 3 weeks ago.
Well, see, I'm significantly older than the other guys in the wedding party.
Right.
Significantly. So
Like
I have
a
I have
decade?
money and the ability to plan. So and an Airbnb account. So after the best man had picked out a location, I said no problem. I'll book it and you guys can just pay me.
Right.
So Chase pays me within like a week. Amazing.
I was
Which
on it.
Yeah,
Chase
that,
is a
I mean, that
stellar
was crazy.
guy.
Like going into this, I was thinking, if I'm going to have a problem with anybody, like getting the money together, or getting their tux or whatever, or even like showing up, it'll be Chase.
Yeah.
I proved you wrong.
He did.
He did.
Yeah. He was very
He was
impressive.
the first one to get his tux. He was the first one to pay Jeremiah. I mean, although he was like an hour and a half late to leave to Nashville.
My car didn't start okay.
Clearly, he loves you the most out of all your.
Yeah, it's
Bachelors.
pretty apparent.
So so then Trevor, unfortunately, Trevor basically wound up moving.
Yeah, Trevor moved it and took a job in North Dakota.
On purpose.
Yeah. He's like traveling around like the country, and he's breaking down heavy machinery for a contractor.
That's like real man stuff.
Yeah, right.
It's not like this.
Yeah, it's
What
not like
is
us. So he disappears. So then we needed to call in a pinch hitter, and we went through Dakota's list of friends, and he realized that none of his friends live here.
Right.
So-
None of his
Yeah,
friends.
I have, like,
No,
yeah,
let's
friends
clarify
living-
that. None of your friends.
None of his friends
None
live
of my
here.
friends live here. I had a friend in California that we thought about inviting, Michigan. Then we thought, I thought of another friend. I'm like, oh, dang it, he's in Afghanistan right now. Like, it just got
Damn
crazy.
army.
Well, then apparently the one that was in Afghanistan ended up coming back. So he comes back like 2 weeks before the bachelor party. And I was like, hey, man, I know it's a long shot, but you want to pitch in $200 and go to Nashville? And he's like, yeah, dude, I'm up for that, whatever.
How did your friends get so disparate? Like, are these friends from the AOL days and chat rooms? Like,
No, it's just like everybody.
It's the brain drain. Unless you get a job like Dakota, you just have to leave to exist.
Yeah. I mean that makes sense. I mean, and I don't know about you, but like all my friends at college, like I didn't go away to college. I stayed at home, so it was real lonely for a period of 5 years because everybody was away at college or moved away or got somebody pregnant and was busy.
I just keep getting younger friends who live here. That's all I do.
I've been all over the place.
Yeah, Chase is finally boomerang back to Henry County. So
Yep, he always comes back. He's like the prodigal son.
and then you're gonna find a little surprise here later in the show, but. No, we can get into it now. We invited a fifth person because we weren't sure. At that point, we just started sending up mass invitations.
Yeah.
And I have the flakiest cousin in the world who Dakota has gotten to know a little bit. You've met him at the Indy 500, cousin Nick. And
we don't want to use his real name.
Cousin Rick.
Cousin Dick.
So, Christy, they basically scraped the bottom of Dakota's friend barrel and didn't get to me.
Once again, we wanted to have people that were going to be fun. And would be willing to.
Could you have imagined Chris Spangle in the hookah bar where we were drinking whiskey?
Oh, I'm a great time. Like I'm fun at a party.
No way.
Have you heard about ending the Fed? Let me tell you about this Fed.
We got to stay with it. The man.
We can't have fun. We've got to stay on the schedule.
This is all planned.
Stick to the planned banter.
You've been given a script.
Am I being detained?
Yes, you are. Don't move. Don't you try to take that seatbelt off. We put her on you for a reason. So four of us leave my driveway. It was supposed to be Dakota and I, some private time, some time I had scheduled with Dakota, and instead everybody came back. No, so we got to somewhere in Kentucky, and got stopped for fuel or stopped for something. I don't know, pee breaks or whatever. It doesn't matter. Nobody knows. We're getting back in the vehicle, and I realize, oh my God, I don't have a license plate light on my vehicle. And I am pulling in the back in the cooler.
Now who's not fun?
Now I am bringing with me
Mr. Excitement.
I am bringing with me an entire bar of booze in an SUV.
Yeah, we were driving.
Awesome.
We were driving down the road, and Jeremiah's like, "Hey Chase, can you pass me up a Coke Zero from the cooler?" And Chase is like, "Yeah, sure." So he gets back there and he opens up the cooler and he goes, "Oh my God, dude. You brought like 6 bottles of vodka."
I brought enough for 2 days. So, So I was like, oh my God, we're going to get pulled over. We have no license plate light. Chase made us so late because it's dark now. We were supposed to be there before dark.
My bad.
Oops. So Dakota's like, that's okay. We're at a pilot.
Several weeks later, still shaming you about it. 5 years from now, remember that time you didn't stick to my schedule?
They're never going to let it go.
No. He's never going to let it go. Dakota's cool.
Yeah, I might let it go. Maybe. I don't know. I've started to realize that I'm doing things kind of like Jeremiah recently. And I'll catch myself doing it, or I'll say something and I'll be like,
my friend Jen, she snapped me back the other day and she goes, "Does Jeremiah go anywhere without his little brunette friend? Are they married?"
I saw that and I was like, did that come from someone, or did he take that? Like, that
People
is
are
really
noticing.
weird.
People are noticing.
Looking forward to Friday's hunting trip, by the way.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah. We did invite you. Like, we talked about it.
No.
We were going...
what I get from you guys is pity invites. We're already down here. You can come down if you want.
I didn't get invited either, so
thank
you're not
you.
the only
Chase,
one.
would you like to go hunting with me?
No.
Do you both want to take Friday off and go hunting?
No, I have to work.
I'm going Saturday, so it's okay.
There you go.
There we go.
All right. So we go. Dakota, being the substation repair guy he is like, we can handle this. So he sends me back into the store to get some light bulbs. In the meantime, I figure out what light bulb I need because I'm the engineering type of the group. So I immediately go to the manual and find the light bulb number. And I find my Leatherman that I've packed in the vehicle.
It would have, for the record, it would have been much easier to just take the light bulb out and go,
bring it in.
Hey, you guys have one of these?
I literally am so glad I didn't get invited. Like, we're not even to Nashville yet, and I don't want to go.
We're not even halfway at this point.
Right. Yeah. Have you left the state yet? Before the crisis of the light bulb.
We're barely in Kentucky. So I being the mama's boy that I am, open up the Leatherman, and I'm trying to take out the the Phillips head that Dakota needs. Of course, he was trying to use a butter knife or a pocket knife or something. I'm like,
Right.
no, I have the right tool
I'm
for
a
the
real
job.
man.
I have the right tool for the job. You will use it. So as I open it up, I fillet my thumb open.
He's prepared his whole life for this moment.
Yes.
And then crisis strikes.
So and then I'm just immediately bleeding.
Let me see it.
It's still cut. It's still it's
that looks like a painful
For
paper
the,
cut.
it was
Life threatening.
for the entire first night, Jeremiah kept going, it is so difficult to do things one-handed.
It
Oh,
is.
he knows.
Well, and I've got the new fancy phone that I can unlock with my thumb. You try to unlock a thumb with a Band-Aid on it. Doesn't work. So
You have another thumb.
I know. It was holding alcohol. So we finally went ahead and got the light bulb changed, and we were able to get to Nashville. Amazing place. Got checked in. We were fantastic. We are like 12-year-olds who just want to get out of town immediately. So we walk out on the street, don't look at any maps, don't do any planning, and we're like, we're going to walk somewhere and get dinner.
Yep,
And
that was the plan.
We walked like a half mile in the wrong direction,
Yep.
and we were like, there's nothing here to eat.
This is what spontaneity gets you, Jeremiah.
There are only dive bars. We can go eat a cigarette for dinner.
Yeah. That's where we discovered the hookah bar. So we walked the other direction.
Yep.
And we're all getting famished at that point.
Yeah,
It was still like 80 degrees,
I was
and we're
getting
hot and
hangry.
tired.
I was sweating.
Yeah,
Right.
it was bad. And in the distance, we see the glow of two very local restaurants. One is called a Chili's, and the other one is called a Logan's.
Oh. Well, as you're on a bachelor party, you got to go to Logan's, right?
That's what I said. I'd never been to Logan's before.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what, let's go.
It's like the Steak and Shake of the
steakhouse
of
world.
the steakhouse world. You know, where it's
such a good.
yeah, like
way to
it's
put that.
not like it's not going to change your life. It's not top tier like Texas Roadhouse, but Logan's isn't bad.
Yeah.
You can eat it for
It
dinner.
was like, yeah, all right.
It's
So
not
we had,
Ponderosa.
okay.
We had steaks like men. And
I had a cheeseburger.
from there, we walked on again. This is the one night we actually walked. We walked to a place called is it Spring Water?
Yeah, spring
Yes.
water.
We had my brother's lovely girlfriend, Hannah Wheeler, provided us with a list, like an incredible list. She had a change of heart. She was going to give us all of the best gay bars in town and just see if we were going to walk into them. But she was nice, and I said, Dakota likes dive bars, so we want to go to like dive bars, pool halls, just fun places.
Now, did she live there?
She went to school
She
down
did.
there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, or she's really good at Google. I don't know. So we walked to a place. It was not very far. We walked by the Parthenon, checked that out, and took our pictures, and kept walking.
So, yeah, we walk up to this bar called Spring Water, and it looks like if you think of a biker dive bar in any movie ever, this is the place.
Like rotten wood on the outside,
Yeah.
horrible neon
rotten
sign.
wood on the inside.
Right.
Yeah, it's just everywhere. It's just rot.
You walk in the door, and the man immediately gets off the bar and checks your ID.
Yep.
And says there's a $5 cover if you listen to the music.
We walked in. We
What?
walked in the bar.
Is that a Blues Brothers joke?
No, it was real.
We walked in the bar, and it was literally a scene from a movie where like the music stops and everyone looks at you,
Trying to figure out if you
Yeah.
belong or not.
trying to figure out if we were cops. Like they kept talking about unmarked cars being outside and stuff.
No,
They
no,
had
no,
like
let's be
incense
clear.
There were
burning.
two of them.
They weren't trying to figure out if you guys were cops. They were trying to figure out if Jeremiah was a cop.
They're trying to figure out if Jeremiah was a
Correct.
cop and these two are my underage.
He's-
Will they serve them, guys?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mr. Excise Police over here with his decoys.
Yeah, that is probably exactly right.
No, sir. We have a podcast. No, I don't believe your story. What's the truth?
This is the kind of place that when you want to get darts, they make you turn in your driver's license because you might steal their darts.
I was scared I was going to forget it.
So we're playing darts, having a good time, having a couple beers. It's cash only. That's the other thing, cash only bar.
Right.
But they have an ATM in the corner with a skimmer in case you need to lose some money along the way. Chase used the ATM. Anyway,
I did.
How's your identity?
It's debatable.
Right. You're at the age where they have nothing to steal anyways.
yeah, you'd be surprised. So my phone rings, and it's cousin Rick.
All right.
I'm 20 minutes out. He had been BSing us for 4 or 5 weeks. I'm coming. No, I can't come. Antifa is it's the day. It's the weekend. They're going to blow up the world.
November 4th is the week of the Antifa protests, and I just cannot afford to be in a big city then. And he's like, I need to just.
He's got
he's
fortifications
like,
to
I
make.
need to lay low at the house. I have all my food. I have the guns, and I'm gonna set out some bear traps in my driveway. I'm like,
But again-
dude, you live in the middle of nowhere, Illinois.
But again, I would be no fun at this party. Let's just be clear. All right. this guy.
But once you get cousin Bruce and his in a couple, he's a great time.
So he should. Well, yeah,
So
you love crazy. You want crazy at a party.
Oh yeah. So he rolls up. We played darts, and
Dakota is really bad at darts.
oh my god,
I am
he is
so
It was
horrible.
scary.
Chase and I were like neck and neck. Just we'd get one or two, whatever the hell game it was
Yeah.
we were playing. We'd get one or two each time. You had to advance from 20 to 19 to 17. You'd have to get it and get them in order. And Dakota stuck on the first one for the first hour we played the game.
Definitely
It
want to
was.
stand behind him.
No,
Does not bode well for the honey.
No, there was
No.
there was one time. There was one time I throw the dart and it literally bounces back at us.
yeah. There's a lot of things I'm not good at. Apparently, darts isn't one of them. I'm phenomenal, very good.
You're pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I felt good about it.
Now, did Jeremiah get so drunk that he started manhandling people?
Yes,
Because that's my favorite drunk
yes,
Jer.
he did. He tried to pull the old party Jer on Danny Morrell, except I was Danny. And can I just say I have a totally new respect for Danny Morrell.
See, what you listeners have to understand is that when Jeremiah goes past a certain point, and he doesn't remember it, but everybody else does,
It's a
because
very-
he has
very
this,
fun
Everybody,
time for
everybody in a
everybody.
25-mile radius
Right.
of where he is remembers
he's
it.
screaming at people. He's manhandling people with the strength of a bear. Like he was like, "You're gonna drink, Daddy," trying to, and had his
Open your mouth.
open your mouth, wrestling him to the ground, pouring liquor in it. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. And Danny still holds that. Every time I see Danny, he's like, "Remember that time you laughed at my misery instead of helping me?" I was like, I jumped in, but it took 8 of us to get Jared off of you. So he manhandled. What was he making you do? What was he forcing you to do?
Drink more. Like it was the exact same situation. He's like, I'm gonna do to you what I did to Danny. He said that. Like that was that. Those were his words.
Do him like I did Donnie. All right. So that was the first night. We went to another place after that. It was pretty chill. A little too busy. It was called Melrose,
packed.
big pool hall bar. And then we came back and we we had brought an entire liquor cabinet, and why spend money when you've got enough to get the job done? So we stumbled around the hotel for a while to finally, or the Airbnb, to find the roof. We were told there was a rooftop area.
Oh no!
We walked the entire distance.
We walked around the entire floor of this place until we finally come out on the roof of the parking garage. There's like a little dog park up there,
Right.
and so we start looking around and we're like, "This is the roof.
This must be it.
This is what they're talking about." Like as you look out across the roof of the entire place,
We were expecting
you're
like Chase lounges
"There's
and
nothing."
something cool.
Yeah, that's
and
what
it
I
was,
thought it would be.
Yeah. So, but it was fine.
It was a
Yeah,
lawn
it was
chair.
There was nobody else up there, so it was nice and private
Yeah.
for our
Just-
time.
I got to yell at people.
Yeah, every time that people walked by on the street below, Chase had a bag of honey barbecue twist Fritos, and he's like, "Hey, you guys want a barbecue Frito?"
And one drops from 8 floors above. So yeah. So then the next day we got up at a reasonable hour, believe it or not, and we went down to this place called the Sun Diner. Had a cool little breakfast in a music diner
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
down
that
on
was really
down on
good.
Broadway, and get out of there, walk out the door, and there's a boot shop. And Dakota's like, "We need to go look at boots."
I was like, "Ooh."
And I'm thinking in my head, total tourist trap. Who would ever buy anything here?
Buy one, get 2 free.
I saw the boots, and I saw the boots that Dakota was contemplating.
He went
I don't
in
know
and
who would
within-
ever. Hold on, I don't know who would ever buy boots there.
Within 3 minutes, he's got his shoes off and he's trying stuff on.
Oh yeah, I love wearing boots. Like they're just. I felt like a kid in a candy store.
I've never seen him so excited.
Probably within 10 minutes, I had the 3 picked out.
Yeah,
I was
we were
going to
done in
buy.
8 minutes.
You have great style, except for those boots. They were like red and orange and
he
yellow.
bought suede cowboy boots.
I did.
Suede cowboy boots.
They look
freaking
like
awesome.
space boots.
Yeah, like the top parts of them are silver and they have like blue stitching in them, and then the bottom part's like a gray suede.
It's literally what you would get your nephew when he's 3 and loves to play Cowboys and Indians. Right?
Absolutely. Like
So we had a good time with that. Dakota spent an untold amount of money on boots, and I'm like, okay, time to adult for a minute. There is no way in hell I'm carrying around 3 pairs of boots all day with us because we're going to leave them at a bar.
Someone's having fun. We must stop.
We
this.
have to stop it. So we get a claim check for Dakota, and we leave his boots behind.
we did.
And at that moment,
I
we
couldn't
spot,
even wear them out. Like
No, leave these here.
When your friends are not on your bachelor party, not willing to be caught in public with you wearing those boots, that should have told you something. They were.
I think I ended up wearing all 3 pairs at some point during the weekend. Like, we were down there for like just one day. By the time I bought the boots, and I wore all 3 pairs in that one day.
They're all
Imagine
broken
the kind
in.
of boots that you'd walk down and your son's in just his whitey tighties on a Sunday morning watching racing, and those boots. That's the kind of boots these are.
Spangle sounds to be describing his childhood. Very
Oh
much.
yeah, no.
So the
Daddy, what's wrong with Ayrton Senna?
oh no, sad days in 1994. Anyway, so we look across the street. Actually, there was another bar we were recommended. Nice 3-story, cool bar. It would have been a great place if it wasn't 2 PM. But it was the honky tonk music.
We were the only ones.
We were the only ones in there. We're the only ones in there, but they're playing Dwight Yoakam. So I felt good.
In downtown Nashville on Broadway, like
on a Saturday
Yeah.
for brunch.
It was like
Yeah.
we rented the place out.
yeah. But we there were still bartenders. We were just the only ones drinking. There
But
was
we
a
looked-
band.
We looked
Like-
across the street and we saw a sight.
Yep.
We saw the president of Russia and the president of the United States,
Oh yeah.
Putin and Trump. So we immediately had to go get our picture taken.
Yeah.
Went over, got and
Trump, being the businessman that he is, asks for $20 per person.
They were making bank.
yeah. They have a staff of 4 for their pictures on the street,
That is ridiculous.
and they
Where can
take
we
your
start
camera
this?
for you.
Yeah.
And Dakota, was it you or Rick that asked where the masks come from?
That was me. I asked where the masks come from, and he said that they own the rights. He said, we own the rights to these masks.
No, they don't.
Like,
We have the likeness of the president locked down. You can't have it.
Right. They're the kind of they were the kind of masks, like if you've seen people wearing the Kim Jong-un masks, they're like super high quality, great smiling masks. Now, was this the bar where you were doing karaoke?
So that's across the
Different
street,
bar.
right in front of it. We walked in,
Okay.
and it's something bees, super bees or
Wannabes.
Wannabes. That was it. So we go in, we get our courage, we have a couple more, and Dakota and I do a traditional We Are Libertarians Toby Keith song. It was beer for my horses.
There's a video of it too.
There is,
Oh, I've seen it.
and
whiskey for my man.
we can't sing the song on here. I don't know if we have the rights. I don't want to take down the Wall Empire because we
I
upset
don't-
Willie Nelson.
I don't think that if you two sing it, YouTube will catch it because it won't match up with the way Toby sings. I think you'll be all right.
Probably very correct.
Yeah.
So
Everyone in the karaoke bar can attest to that.
Dakota sounded okay. I sounded like my usual terrible self. I had to do the Toby Keith song portion because Dakota thought he had the better scratchy voice.
I'm more high pitched like Willie is.
I will never forget when Tanner at one of the wall parties, he was obliterated, of course, and he had just killed the party karaokeing a Toby Keith song. He walks in, and it's just he and I in the kitchen, and he goes, "You know what's really weird? I sound exactly like Toby Keith." I was like, "You do, man." He's like, "You think I could fill in for Toby Keith sometime?"
Totally could.
I was
Totally
like,
could.
"Absolutely, Tanner. Go for your dreams." He's like, "Thanks, brother."
So the other thing that I learned about Dakota, and I knew this, but I didn't realize, like, he really, really, really has a favorite band.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Nickelback.
No. He's
Close, but no cigar.
no. It's Cake. He likes Cake from the 90s.
They
Yeah.
have like one song.
No, well, and
They
so,
have like 8 albums.
Boo doo doo
You just
doo
don't
doo
know.
doo.
So-
you're never there.
So
That's Cake.
he's like,
Yeah.
I want to listen. He tells me, he's literally in the bathroom, like, I should sing Going the Distance. So I'm like, okay, duly noted. We get back to the table.
It was a joke, by the way. Like
We get back to the table.
Going the Distance is like the kind of a rap song that they did.
It's the only one
And-
I know.
Yeah, so it's like
Phenomena.
really fast paced, basically rap. And I don't know all the words.
See, you may
So I'm like trying to tell a joke to Jeremiah,
right
Because
but he's
then-
homeschooled, so he doesn't
Yeah,
get
but
it.
I realized
Immediately,
I
I
he
sneak
didn't
over.
know what the song was. Like he doesn't
I know the
it.
song. You're Going the Distance. Yeah, I got it.
Okay,
Mr. Fun over here.
Yes, I remember that song. I heard it 4 years ago. At least he didn't ask for their Aretha Franklin song.
Yeah, I mean it's at least a different type of karaoke song.
Right. So we, I sign them up. They know that Dakota had sang whiskey for my my women or whatever it is.
Beers for his horses.
Beers for my
right?
horses, whiskey for my beer for my men, whiskey for my horses.
No.
No.
Whiskey for my men, beer for my horses.
Well,
That's why I sang the wrong word.
that too.
So
Jeremiah's very flustered.
He's very fidgety. He's more fidgety than I am.
I'm.
Are you okay?
No.
Do you need a hug?
Calming myself.
You need a spinner?
Is this your first time?
This is my first time on the show.
We could let Chase take over.
Yeah.
Just let him host for a bit.
He's very chill. I'm sleep deprived because we have so much to cover. All right.
We don't have to do all of that, right?
No, we're going to.
You don't have to do all of it. Like, we had 10 topics prepared for last night. We did 3.
No, that's fine. So anyway, you're wasting time telling me what we can't cover, old man.
I'm just saying. I'm here to guide you.
I don't need your
Let
guidance.
me wrap my arms around you and teach you how to host a podcast.
You know who I was impressed by? Our bartender.
Our
When she was rapping, like, that was impressive.
Yeah, she was full on rapping.
She was almost
at
as
one
good
point.
as Tommy down at Spiceland at the at Montgomery's when Tommy sings. So anyway, we Dakota does cake. He's amazing. We're trying to leave, and he runs across a bachelorette party, gets signed up to sing "Like a Virgin" with the Bachelorette, and he does it. Everybody's standing outside, and I look back in, and Dakota is on stage singing.
Yeah, she had to she told me that she had to do this scavenger hunt, like complete a scavenger hunt for Nashville bachelorette parties, and one of them was sing karaoke with a bachelor. So I was like, she's like, will you do it? And I was like, well, I can't sing. And she goes, no, you're going to do it. And I was like, what's the song? And she goes, I can't tell you. And I was like, just tell me the song. Do you know the song? She goes, I don't even know it. My mom was just the one that signed us up. I was like, oh my God.
He almost backed out.
Yeah,
and then
I did.
as we were leaving,
She
he
was
went up
on the
there
stage, and he jumped
like
up
a man. I was proud of him.
Who was drunker, you or her?
Oh, definitely her.
Yeah,
Like,
this was early in the
sure.
day for us. Very early in the day for us. So we left there, went back, took a nap, decided we're going to go back out for a
I
little
did
while.
not nap.
Well, some of us napped.
The
checked
older
out.
people in the bunch.
Those over 30 had to have a timeout.
Dude, I understand. Trust me. I have to take a nap before every podcast now because I can't get through it. I get it.
We checked out a hookah bar, which turns out to be the most racially diverse thing we did the entire time in Nashville.
Right?
I
We
was
were the only
amazed.
white people in there.
Yeah.
Like, there's probably 80 other people. And it was, like, empty whenever we walked in, right?
No, we had to fight for a table. You were maybe a little buzzed at that point.
Huh.
We had
Maybe.
to
No, I
walk
was
around
in
and
the
try to find a
restaurant.
table.
Yeah, there's probably 80 people in there, and the 4 of us, or 5 of us.
The 5 of
I
us
guess.
were it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody
And
else was from
we
out
ended
of
up
town.
making, like, great friends there.
They were the
Like,
nicest people we met.
They were
while
buying
there.
Dakota shots.
Oh,
They were buying me not just shots, like entire glasses of whiskey.
Yeah.
I get a text at one point and it just says, Jeremiah has 5 new black friends.
It was 10 by the time the night was over. We were talking about Alabama football, and it was.
remember Willie D. Ribs?
I know. No, it was. I had street cred because I could actually remember that the Shula boy that was head coach at Alabama before.
Oh, yeah.
Before Saban. And the guy's like, I've never heard anybody else ever make a Dave Shula reference, or Mike Shula, or whichever one it was. So anyway, yeah. So we were there, and poor Chase. He's like, everybody's been buying rounds of this and that. They're pitching in, doing a great job. Chase sends his card up, and the lady comes back, and it doesn't work.
Uh-oh. Oh, and that's like the worst, isn't it?
Well, I kind of saw it coming because I had checked my little phone app, and I saw there was money missing. So I was like, well, I'll try to spin it before the other guy gets it. So I was like, I got this round, guys, and I sent it up there, and it's declined.
It was gone.
I was
So
bummed.
It's like heartbreaking.
But
It
he
is,
steps up still, and I think you, like, Cousin Rick had covered the drinks,
Yeah.
and you covered all of the other stuff.
Yeah.
So
Luckily, the bar we went to the other night was cash only, so I did have cash on me.
That's good.
So I lucked out.
but then
there.
you were wiped out for the
Then
night.
I was out. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the worst.
That's when Jeremiah stepped up.
Yeah.
He loaned
Yeah,
me.
I gave him the rest of the cash that I had.
Uncle Chair.
You ended
Yeah,
up
I
getting
have,
it figured out, though, right?
Yeah,
Everything-
I went to the bank today.
The good folks at Main Source
Signed the
hooked you up.
form. They're investigating it.
Good.
They'll have your money back within weeks.
Yeah, it's all in Miami.
He's I can loan you about $25, but you're gonna have to do some yard work when we get back to Henry County.
No. We went from there. We wound up going back to another Division Street area or whatever because we were told there's a place called Rebar. There's a place called Winners or Loses where we got to check out. And we don't go to either of those immediately. Find a place that's called the Blue Bar.
You didn't go to Rebar immediately?
Eventually, we went to Rebar.
Have to.
Rebar is not our scene, by the way. It was too industrial.
Jeremiah
for us.
starts walking up and he goes, "Oh, look, it's actual rebar. There's rebar here."
He was geeking out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then
he's
I
like
look
taking
at
a
it.
picture of the signs, and then he realizes that it is
Our steel.
his company's rebar, and he's like, "This is so cool."
I still don't like this place, but
Too many yuppies.
no, it was grungy. It was that.
I liked it.
Dark,
It wasn't
yeah.
too bad.
I
I
liked
don't know.
it.
I like the place across the street a
It
lot
was
more.
pretty
Yeah,
packed,
that's
though.
for sure. We had more fun there.
So we had gotten there, and we were all sitting down. There's like couches and stuff, and everybody went to the bar and got a drink. And I look over, and Chase is sitting there just sad.
With his arms folded.
I realized, oh my god, it's like 6 o'clock, and Chase doesn't have any money. This cannot stand.
I was crushed.
Oh, I bet. I've been in that situation. Yeah, that's like the worst feeling ever.
So none of us decided to buy him drinks, and he just stayed sober all night.
Is that true?
It was awful. They needed a designated driver.
No.
that's not
no.
true
We
at all.
literally got to Nashville and left the vehicle parked the entire time. I showed, I forced myself upon Dakota and made him create an Uber account so he would get cheap Ubers.
If every 10 minutes. Did you create that Uber account yet?
10 minutes. It was like every 3 minutes on the dot. It was like he's watching the clock, and as soon as it goes from 15 to 18, he's like, "Hey, did you get that Uber yet?"
Yeah. Come on, let's go. And he didn't do it, so we're
No,
down there.
we
we're on-
still have 3 hours before we're in Nashville.
but
First one's free.
in my defense, we get to the street. And Dakota's like, "Oh my god, I thought I had keyed all this in," and he has to get his credit card out and put everything on it. So we're like, "Where's the card, Dakota?" I'm trying.
It's very true. I admit to all of it.
And nothing is worse when, like, you're ignoring Jared because he's bossing you around.
And then he's right.
But then, like, you mess it up like that. And
Then
then
you
of
end up
course he's
ignoring
got
him
that,
too long.
Look
Like-
at him. Look at him. He's so happy. Look at the grin on his face. He's just so happy.
You've ignored him like one too many times.
Right.
Like, and there it is.
And then when he's right, that ass-eating grin, he's just like beaming. It's hilarious.
You're welcome.
If only you had listened to me.
I already started on Chase. Poor Chase is 3 years ago. He got himself measured for his suit, and he used the real measurements. And he's like anybody else. He's gotten a little thicker.
I've had a desk job for the last year. Put on like 10 to 15 pounds.
How old are you?
22.
Okay, yeah, because your metabolism, it starts to slow at 22. Then once you get to like 28, then it gets worse, and then 32. Oh, buddy,
That's what I hear, man.
Yeah, it's rough. But Jared looks great. He's lost like
27. Yeah,
at least a toddler.
We're
He's down a toddler.
We're
right
taking
now.
extreme measures here. It's gotten to be so bad that Bittner reached out to me today and asked me to be on his podcast.
He's lost so much weight.
It's become noticeable.
Bittner's trying to put him on the keto podcast.
Oh man. So so Chase, I was life coaching today. And I said, "Hey man, I've lost weight, so I had to have my jacket redone. Like I had to get different jackets inside. I measured. I was like, Chase, we had a lot of fun dancing at the Blue Bar. You got to be able to dance. So get yourself some pants that work.
He's
It's
not
free.
that big.
Listen, I'm still holding out. Like, all I needed to do is lose about 2 or 3 pounds. I'll be good. Like, they buckled, you know.
Just cut weight.
They're just
Well,
a little
it's-
tight.
you
I
have
can't
10
bend
days.
over.
It's too late now. The Tux company said that you have to let them know that it doesn't fit within 48 hours.
Oh, well.
So basically, you need to be like put a trash bag on yourself and run around the neighborhood and chase chickens.
We're talking about
Or
Chase.
just wear blue jeans.
We're talking about Chase and his wardrobe issues, and Quentin, the other person that was with us from Afghanistan, is like,
He's really from Indiana, but he
Yeah.
did spend some time in Afghanistan.
It's like he's not Allah Akbar, right?
he goes, "Don't sweat it, dude. Just like don't eat anything and just drink a bunch of water for like 3 days and you'll be good."
He's not wrong.
I know he's not wrong.
Go
That's what's
keto.
funny. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
I probably started that like
So-
3 days before the wedding.
there we go.
So let's see. We
Are
went.
are you going to go on the keto cast and tell them that you do a high carb, low protein diet?
Is that true?
I'm doing the South Beach.
Oh,
It's
okay.
the glycemic index.
Ah, yeah. South Beach is good.
Which is probably close to what Bittner's doing, but it's not quite exactly the same.
Sure.
But it works for me. So whatever works for anybody else, I'm not here to proselytize that by any means.
That's where it's at. Like low, like. Excuse me, I had too many chicken wings before I got here. So let me give you a diet advice. Like for me, like high protein, low carb, I feel so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the second I go high carb, I just swell up.
Yeah, I miss donuts, but like pasta and all the other stuff, like bread, I'm fine on that.
Yeah.
Potatoes, I don't miss that.
And beer, you miss beer.
I do miss beer a little bit, and I did get on a little bit of beer over the weekend. I forgot at one point.
You had like Budweiser Select 55.
Yeah, so I did.
That's
I did
less
pawn
of
off
a beer than Mick Ultra. It doesn't even.
I
count.
brought a 24-pack of Bud Select 55, and we got to Mount Comfort, got fuel, and I'm like, "Hey, Dakota, drink this," and he did. He was a good boy. He got
I
started early.
I didn't just drink it.
Yeah,
Quentin and I both. And Quentin.
Oh, that was the other thing. We got to that pilot station, and we stopped for another break, and there's this guy in overalls who's broken down or something, and Dakota and Quentin get out, grab the beers out of the back, shotgun the beers, and the guy's like, I don't think so.
I don't need help that bad. Now, are you losing weight for the wedding, or are you just losing weight because you're like, I'm trying to lose weight because I just don't want to be fat anymore?
Well, there's a lot of reasons. It's the right thing to do. But honestly, I was just really trying to mess with Audrey and be awkwardly sized and in my suit for the wedding.
All right, that's a funny answer.
He succeeded. It got here, and he looked like a kid wearing his dad's.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I'm 34. You're 34?
34, yeah. I'm 2 months older than you.
Like, isn't it something about 32, 33 when, like, life hit you and you're, like, all of a sudden going, oh, I could die. I might die one day, and I don't want to go out painfully, and I'm getting older now. I should lose weight.
I feel like this is, like, the moment where you're like, hey, if you're gonna go, you better, like, right now, your body's still working on your side.
Exactly.
So let's not be stupid.
Right. Like, enjoy whatever you want for, like, the next, like, 2 years. But then, like, 24, 25, get to it, because you don't want to be a fat, gross piece of me.
So anyway, but we like the new image. We like the flannel and the hat spangle.
I'm coming out to the country, so I'm out in the country right now. And I knew that I needed to wear my flannel, my Field and Stream flannel, my Carhartt pants, and my Columbia hat.
Have you been to Rural King lately?
I have not been in several years, but I do like Rural King a lot.
That's where I went today to get my Hunter Orange for today, and I got a new flannel shirt because why not? It's the season. They're $13. It's the best value in shirt you'll ever find.
I literally only buy all my clothes and shoes at Dick's. Like, I go to Dick's twice a year, and I buy winter and I will buy summer. So, like, my shorts are all like fishing shorts. I haven't touched a fish in probably 10 years.
That's not true. You and I caught fish 2 years
That's
ago.
right. You're right. But like, it's when you are chubby and when you sweat a lot and you stand up.
Fishing shorts and golf shorts
they dry immediately.
They're amazing.
Yeah, it's so good. So,
I like the pro fishing shirts too.
But these Carhartts, these are like fleece lined Carhartts, so they look like business outside, but they're like sweatpants on the inside.
So you're listening to Laundry Talk with Jeremiah Morrell, Dakota Davis, Chase
Let's
Peyton,
get back
and
to
Boss
your
Hogg.
super exciting party that I didn't get invited to.
So,
go ahead.
So Dakota, in one of his many Ubers that he ordered over the weekend, I don't know how many he ordered. He probably went well past the free number.
Like $60 in Uber.
Did you really?
Yeah.
At one point, we get one, and I said, "Oh, maybe it was mine." It said driver hearing impaired. I said, this is going to be fun.
Oh, no.
Because we were trying to I'm like, we'll get this driver, and he's going to take us to buy cigarettes because somebody had run out. Or we had run somebody out of cigarettes, or I don't know how. Nobody has the real details at this point for legal reasons. And so we're like, we're going to try to get this guy to stop off at a gas station, then take us to wherever we were going.
For Cousin Rick.
But I said, Dakota's in charge of this. So I put Dakota in charge of communicating with the driver.
Yep.
Because Dakota knows sign language.
I took 3 years of sign language in high school.
It was dark outside.
Yeah. Well, so the driver pulls up, and the first thing that you notice if you're from Indiana is that he's of Indian descent.
Mm-hmm.
So he's an Indian guy.
Red dot.
Yeah.
Okay. That's racist.
Yeah. He looks like Aziz Ansari.
Uh-huh.
I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, he was from South Carolina.
Yeah.
On Tom Haverford.
Well, see, so we stop at the gas station. I stay in the car because I don't need to go in the gas station, and I'm talking to him, and he's just not really understanding what I'm saying, obviously, because he's hearing impaired. And at one point,
foreign. So
he was trying to sign very slowly.
What was he signing in Indian?
No. At one point, I go, so how long have you been an Uber driver? And he said, no, I'm from Nashville. I was born here. But I was like, great, now he thinks I'm racist.
Like, you're not pulling one over on me.
Now he thinks I'm a racist. This is awesome.
I'm sure he gets that a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure he does, but like it just wasn't what I was asking.
You don't have a racist face.
It got worse, didn't it?
Not
didn't,
really.
Didn't you become a guy from Memphis too?
Oh yeah, he said, "Where are you guys from?" And I said, "We're from Indiana." And he goes, "Yeah, I've never been to Memphis." I was like,
but he was a good dude. Got us where we needed to be, and we got dropped off. It was great.
I went ahead and tipped him $3 because I felt it was the right thing to do since he thought I was racist.
I saw Nick tip him too. I think everybody guilty tipped the guy.
Absolutely.
I literally had $5 out too, and I saw Nick tip or Rick tip him or Bill tip him or whatever his name was.
I called him Rick the whole time.
Yeah. And Rick took care of him, so we were good. Now Rick had a struggle of his own when we got back that night. He had gone to the roof one last time.
This is the best story of the night.
He was not on the ledge, was he?
He went up to the roof to smoke, and we were done. We were dunzo, exhausted.
It's like 3:15 in the morning.
Oh yeah.
It was really like 4:15. Like the time had changed. It was late. We were done. Chase went to bed. I was sleeping on the futon by myself.
We were laying
very
across
comfortable.
from each other.
We were
making
looking at
eye
each
contact.
other, just as we usually do.
It was a lovely moment.
Dakota and his date had the private room.
Yep.
Because you always, when you do a bachelor party, by the way, here's the rules. You take care of the bachelor. You make sure he doesn't pay for hardly anything, and he gets a real bed. So we did those two things. Chase and I are, making jokes back and forth or whatever, and I said I'll sleep comfortably once my cousin joins me here in the bed, and I fell asleep.
That's the last thing I remember.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wake up at 6 in the morning and look at my phone, and it says I'm locked out.
Oh no!
Somebody shut the door behind me. I'm locked out on the roof, and this has been 3 or 4 hours.
This is literally a plot from The Bachelor, The Hangover.
Yeah.
Only there's no tigers. It's just like a little yellow kitten.
Yeah.
And
so I'm like, oh my God, we've lost Doug. I wake up the entire house freaking out.
Only without that Asian guy in the trunk.
Jeremiah literally storms into the bedroom. Quentin and I are asleep on the bed, and he goes, and he's just, like busting out, like howling, laughing, and he's like, "Nick locked himself out."
Like his instincts to immediately mock him, not to go help him.
No, it was rescue mode because Rick had texted. All he did was texted twice. He texted "wakey wakey." He never phoned. He never did anything. If this had happened to me, I would have called. I would have called every single person.
Chris, could you imagine if this happened to Jeremiah?
Oh, he'd figure out how to be Spider-Man and knock on the window just to let you know he was locked out. This would be unacceptable. Your buddy Rick, he just walk up there and he's covered in dew. He's peacefully sleeping. Jared would be stomping.
I would have started a bonfire.
Right? He would have
and the entire town would have known.
The place down. There would have been a mattress on the roof.
He would have been walking outside and just telling random strangers, "I'm locked in my room up there. Nobody's answering their phone. I'm locked out."
He'd be pretending it was a horse show and yelling from the roof.
Yes. So, so I'm like, oh my God. I text Rick back immediately, and or Bill, whatever his name was, and I know that I don't have the keys, and I'm like, I got to have the keys myself to get back in because you get one set of keys for the building, and this place is like Fort Knox. You need a key to go anywhere. There's a fob, there's a garage fob, there's passcodes, there's keys for the doors, and Quentin has them. So I had to break him out of bed.
Quentin had them in his pocket, and he was asleep.
Oh.
So found those, went downstairs, and it turns out Rick did have the keys to his vehicle, so he slept in his vehicle in the passenger seat on the street.
So he managed to get down. I imagine he was locked on the roof, so he was able to get down.
Yeah, they were one-way doors, so he could get out or whatever, but he couldn't get back in.
Hilarious.
Or no, he probably
walked through the cars.
No,
he probably walked down
from the roof of the parking garage all the way down to the street.
Yeah.
Like Dakota, this is radio, and so he was making like a spiral motion with his fingers down,
down and through.
Truly,
if they want to be able to see this stuff, then they got to start watching our YouTube videos.
You're a true artist with words.
So Rick is at that point desperately trying to find a restroom, and he says that the lady should feel very secure in Nashville because there are no dark alleys. He tried, and everything was closed. So I think he finally wound up finding McDonald's about 6 or 7 in the morning when I came down to get him. Brought him upstairs, and he was like, "I'm going home. This is over."
Oh,
he was done.
I don't blame him.
Yeah,
I'd be so furious.
It would have been awful.
Like, I'm particular, and so like, there's no sleeping in my car. I would have gone home that night. I would have been like,
all of his stuff was in the room.
He still left.
He came back upstairs to the room and got his stuff and left. But it was wild. So that was the grand finale.
It sounds wild. You had a broken light on your
yes.
Yeah.
We had a victim.
Karaoke.
Somebody was stuck.
And there was an Indian. It's crazy.
We had all of the tenets of a great story.
Here was my bachelor party. I went.
Your first bachelor party.
My brother appointed himself the best man, and then we all went to an Italian restaurant, and then we were going to go to Crackers downtown to see a comedy show. We get there, the show was canceled because nobody wanted to see the comedian. And then I went home. I was home by 9 o'clock, and I watched my big fat Greek wedding with my now ex-wife, and then we went to bed.
Sounds like a great time.
When I'm in charge of planning Jeremiah's bachelor party, I will make sure that you're invited.
Thank you, Dakota. At
And
least one of you is my friend.
I definitely want to take you to a hookah bar just to see how you act.
I've never been to a hookah bar, but I am a lot of fun.
Dakota and Danny are I'm sure they're going to conspire against me.
Oh, you're in trouble.
many ways.
No, this is what I said, Chris. We're going to let Jeremiah plan all of it. Just let him loose on it, and he'll have everything planned down to the hour. You know how he does.
There's not going to be
for the entire weekend. And then what we do is we kidnap him the weekend before and take him somewhere totally
exactly. Yes. Like, I mean, I'm joking about not being invited because who wants to live under this caliphate? I mean, honestly, as Ross Tickner, I don't know if you guys have talked about on the podcast the amazing drawings of Ross Tickner in the Facebook group.
The one where he made Jeremiah look like the Incredible Hulk was incredible.
The Ayatollah of Henry County. I howled when I saw it. You got to go
on the drive back. I made every one of them admit that they had a good time. I wouldn't get them out of the car until they did.
Admit you had a good time partying with me.
Did you have a good time?
Yes.
Yeah, it was a pretty good time. Did you have a really good time?
My God.
Dakota drunkenly said he loved me too, so my life was completely fine. Yeah, it was good.
Well,
I started saying that to him about a month ago to make it awkward, and then he finally said it back. So now
every time he would leave the house or something, he'd be like, "Love you, Dakota," and I'd be like, "See ya."
Are you going to cry at his wedding because he's getting married to Audrey and not you?
No, Audrey's doing very well. All right, so we are on the We Are Libertarians network.
What's up next on the schedule? Let me see. All right.
This is the scheduled time about you, sir.
How are we making time? Yeah, so is this what you do every episode? You invite a guest and then you make them sit through your stories for like
pretty much. Yeah, this is how we treat congressional candidates.
Oh my God. This is really something. You invite a guest and then you make them awkwardly sit there for 30 minutes.
You're welcome.
Usually it's only like 10 minutes. We don't have a bachelor party every weekend.
I get it.
Boy, we should, but no, I would be broke.
Oh my gosh. $60 on Uber rides.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well,
now back to me.
I really am broke, so.
Oh, poor buddy.
That shouldn't be so funny, but it is.
All right, so what's happening with Wall? Big changes.
Lots of changes.
Updates.
Not really lots of changes.
This is a good time to plug your show tomorrow night, by the way.
Yeah.
The Thursday night episode. Episode 245.
Dakota and I conspired about this months ago, and I said, yeah, you want to come on Wall? And he's like, sure, I'll come on this date. And he's like, all right, I'll see if Jer wants to come. And I said, no, just you. And and so I love to invite Dakota on the podcast without Jeremiah. And yesterday he's like, 2 days ago, he's rubbing his hands together. He's like, this is going to be exciting. Boss Hogg's coming on We Are Libertarians. No. And I said, no.
No, I had
Dakota.
a panic moment. Spangle's like, Dakota, you're still doing the show Thursday? I'm like, oh my God, I've messed up my schedule, and I don't have it on the schedule. So I'm like, are we doing the show Thursday? No. Dakota's doing the show Thursday.
It was so much fun.
And I'm like, thank God.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. I truly am like, I feel like the guy that found Dakota as the Little League scout.
Right.
And he's made the big leagues, and I'm thrilled that he's going on the show all by himself.
Yeah.
And I get Thursday to myself.
So he and Shane Zollner and I, maybe James Neese, will be, you never know with him, we'll be talking about, the title of the show is Tough Love for the Libertarian Party. So we're going to talk about some of the stuff that's been going on in the Libertarian Party, the election results, and talk a little bit about that. And we've added about a month and a half, 2 months ago, we added a Patreon. It actually was, I think, August at this point. We added a Patreon, and within a month, we had $1,000 a month in pledges. So we went from making $150, $200 a month, which the cost to run the We Are Libertarians network is somewhere around $500 a month. And so I just want
8 podcasts on the network right
8
now.
8 podcasts, and it's not so much that the podcasts, like the podcasts really only cost me like $8 a month. I mean, the actual podcast, We Are Libertarians, is just what takes up so much of my time. I mean, that $500 a month is not including my time. I mean, I spend 20 hours a week easily on We Are Libertarians, not only on the back end stuff, on the website, on all the features that go into it, all the RSS feeds that have to be adjusted, and
it's an incredible amount of work. Just the work I do to put this one on the air is on the back end after, to edit it and get it on and get it posted everywhere. And Dakota carries his share too.
Yeah.
It's 2.5 hours of work for me every week.
And I do all that by myself, and I do 2 shows a week. And so one part of adding the Patreon was adding a second show, which I thought it would be 3 or 4 months before we'd add a second show. We had in 3 days. It was 3 days before we started doing the second show. And it's been really cool because there's been kind of several different things that have happened with We Are Libertarians since late August. Adding the Patreon and building out all the rewards and building community within those rewards, like a new Facebook group. Second, Harry built a Discord chat. So if you're a gamer, we have a Discord chat at wearelibertarians.com that you can join. And that's been really cool to have that new little community spring up.
Every time those people say "at all," my phone goes off. That's the only time I know anything about Discord.
And then I had my main co-host left the show, and he did a lot of the prep. And the conversation and the shows that I did about that really brought a lot of people. A lot of people sent me really nice notes and supportive notes, and. So that was pretty cool. And then another episode where I basically just said, we've built a show based on memes and offensiveness, and
you guys have been edgelords ever since I've been listening to
absolutely
it. Like Hitler jokes and things like that.
So it's a pivot now.
So what I have on the show notes is that you're trying to be less Milo and more Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, like. And it has nothing to do with any of the co-hosts that left. Like, I want to say that and be very clear about that, because a lot of it was me trying different things. So I've done this for 6 years. I've been a podcaster for 9, and I've done We Are Libertarians for almost 6. And you try a bunch of different things, and I think over the course of this show, you guys will try a bunch of different things and experiment and see what works and what doesn't. And 3 years from now, you may go, I don't want to focus on local stuff. I want to pivot to national stuff.
3 years from now, Dakota's going to be like, we're going to fire Jer.
I can't take him anymore. So with We Are Libertarians, there's just been, it's been edgy, and that's been kind of over the last year and a half. We've just, I don't know, like the introduction of the 4chan culture into our little circle just kind of took us to places that, I don't know, I hadn't really thought about how that would be perceived. And I didn't and don't really care. Like, I don't really care about how We Are Libertarians and how I am perceived. I'm doing what I think is funny, what I think is right, what I think is truthful, what I think is relevant to what I have to say. And I think after really kind of thinking a lot, when you go through something that is basically kind of a really crummy thing.
It's a major transition.
A major transition with a really close friend and a partner. And, I've gone through that at work. Obviously at work, one of the co-hosts retired, and so I've seen how that works.
Even more emotionally, Jeff divorced you.
No, Jeff and Vibert and I still talk every day. He tried to FaceTime me while I was here. So, no, my life over the last 4 years has been a lot of transition, and I got divorced almost 4 years ago. And there is a lot of emotional stuff that goes into that. And this is the first year where I've really had any self-confidence. And
we can tell with the flannels.
Oh, I'm trying to not look like a homeless person. It's called fashion, Jer. Look it up.
Oh, well.
And I having self-confidence and self-esteem for the first time in my life. I didn't really know how to handle that, and so I think I tried to portray that in ways that I wasn't, like, kind of upon further reflection, just go, I don't think that I want to do this anymore. And I lay it all out in episode 242, but I'm not, like, the character stuff I just don't think is what people are interested in, and I'm not interested in doing it and having it cost friendships or any of that kind of stuff, and I've seen, like, my friend Jeff go to Barstool Heartland, and, you know, they built a culture of joking with each other, and it opening up his Twitter is an absolute nightmare for him. And, like, I just don't want to build an audience that is based on being mean to each other, because I just don't think that's who I am as a person, and I don't think that, like, because I think it has always kind of annoyed a lot of us on the back end. Like, it's okay if, like, I make a meme about Jer or vice versa, but, like, when other people get in, you don't have the permission to make fun of some people. You know,
sometimes people will draw you as Ken Bone just for spite.
You know, it's one thing if you're joking with your friends, but if this really grows, you're going to get in a situation where people that don't know you are saying things and joking with you in a way that they didn't have permission to joke, and it becomes like just kind of, I don't know, it just doesn't work, and it creates a culture that's really nasty, and I don't want to go down that road.
And all started with Canadian jokes, didn't it?
Right. Like, people don't know what's funny. Like, I know what's funny, and, you know, like, obviously, Greg is one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. He knows what's funny, but I don't think 5 years from now, if this thing is huge, that the mass audience is going to know what's funny. And I don't want to get in a situation where I'm on the air preaching tolerance and respect, and Donald Trump shouldn't say that, and then at the same time, like, our community and the show are not reflective of those words. I think so I really had to take a step back after, and anytime I go through something, I really take a step back and, like, look at my own actions. What could I do differently? How can I change? How can I be a better person? What did I contribute to this situation? And I think it just kind of made me reevaluate a lot of stuff and go, I don't think that I don't think that I'm having enough integrity where the different parts of my identity are integral to every aspect of my life, and I need to do a better job at reflecting everything that I truly believe. And
it's a whole lot easier if you're honest to yourself and all this, isn't it? If you're not trying to play a character or as much of a character.
I've never played a character, and I've never said anything that was dishonest. But I think that the show, I would specifically try to do things that would get a rise out of people. Like, there was, like, a specific word that I said that was inflammatory, and I did it specifically to get a rise out of one person. And, like, I just thought back, like, I don't need to be doing that. Like, that doesn't further the actual goal of what I'm trying to do, which is to inform people about the news, to inform people about current events, and to hopefully get them to see what a libertarian believes through that conversation. And so I've really had to reflect on how I am programming the show and what is actually going to help me achieve my mission the best way possible. And I think if you really look at the stats too, it's just clear, like, people want to understand the current events, they want to understand the news, they want to understand what's going on in the world, and they want to understand it from a libertarian that they trust. And they want to, like, I don't think that you also just kind of lose a lot of your audience if you're promising them in the show title that you're going to talk about Russia, and then you spend an hour and a half not talking about Russia, and you finally get to it at the end. So
we did listen to I listened to what some of the new format and what you're doing with Harry on last night's show on the I guess this, all of the shows are free, right? Like, you have some bonus content, but the extra show is free. They're just delayed a little bit.
So We Are Libertarians, the program, the 2 shows a week. If you're a Patreon subscriber for $5 a month, you get the 2 shows unedited at higher quality the night we record them, and then I release those shows the next day whenever I get around to editing and posting them. And then you also get some bonus content, and that generally works out to be 30 to 60 minutes a week of extra content. Like last night, Harry and I had a conversation about what it's like to be a stay-at-home dad, and how do women interact and men interact with him as a single, like, not a single dad, a stay-at-home dad. And had a lot of really interesting perspectives. Harry is a black man, and to be out in the world with a child in the middle of the day it's very interesting to see how people interact with him and hear his perspective. So,
well, people can pay the but some of us pay $7 a month because they're part of the Jeremiah Moral Pizza Society.
So yeah, I like what I'm trying to do is to cover more subjects and cover it in a way like not because there's a lot of I'm very nervous and I've really been very overwhelmed and depressed over the last year or the last month because you build an audience and a big audience around a certain format and a certain type of show, and then to say, I'm not going to do that in that way anymore, and I'm going to pivot to something else, you hope that audience sticks with you, and you hope that your community sticks with you. And so far, the audience has been nothing but awesome. I've not had one negative comment. I mean, it's really been a lot of people coming and saying, like, I'm glad you're sticking with what you really want. And honestly, I wish I had listened to some of those co-hosts that had said, like, the content that people actually want is not the comedy; they want the politics. And
well, this last one was great. I got to listen to you guys did daylight saving time. You did some on
the shooting in Texas,
the shooting in Texas, and the format you've changed a little bit. You're picking up a lot of audio sound bites now, and you're playing.
Yeah,
it's a little bit longer form, consume the news kind of a show.
Yeah, so I want people to understand all of the context around a story. Like, I think we live in a world where people just see the headlines on Facebook, and they don't understand what that means. So, like, most of your listeners probably saw a couple weeks ago a trans woman. There was an incident with a trans woman and a child in a bathroom, and that really fit into the narrative of the right. But what you didn't pick up on those posts was that this was a known predator in a house bathroom. I mean, it wasn't the way that the narrative portrayed it, and I think you have to understand those complexities and those nuances, and that's what We Are Libertarians does because we're not attached to the left or the right. We're really independent thinkers. And in a lot of ways, we're in the middle. We can break down these complex subjects and give you an opinion that you're not going to have in other ways. So I want to give people that broader perspective, talk about the complexity. We don't live in a simplistic society where everything's a binary choice, and do it in a fun way where, like, I don't think that we've been boring. I don't think that we've been untrue to what we do. I just think we've been less crass, and that's really the goal. I'm not saying that every show is going to be clean. We're still going to have curse words. We're still going to talk in the way that people talk. But it's not going to be – it's the intent. I'm going to be very intentional about what I talk about. And, sometimes some people will slip and say a curse word as opposed to I'm going to use cursing to make my point. And I think that's kind of that's specifically where I'm heading with it. And I think I've lost a lot of the choice to kind of go down a road where – you're basically I can't say it on this program where you're basically trolling. You make a decision to lose a broader audience, but you build a really tight community. And so now I'm pivoting and saying I'm going to open it up to a broader audience.
You're going from narrowcasting to broadcasting.
Broadcasting again. a little bit more. I mean, we're not going to be for everybody, and but it is a lot of work. I mean, I really got, to be honest, I got lazy relying on other people doing the show prep, and because I was building a platform, and I can't ever thank some of those people enough. But I've really enjoyed the last month, like diving into the news, dissecting it, prepping for the shows. But it is a lot of work. I mean, I spend 4 hours before an episode reading and studying and writing and getting all the show prep ready for that episode.
Having the platform is amazing because it allowed the path for us to launch this show earlier this spring. And without We Are Libertarians, obviously, you guys have provided us with the technology that we need to get on the air. With the expertise and a number of people that follow us just because We Are Libertarians podcast. Of course, we've picked up people here locally as well, and it's about a 50-50 mix, I'd say, Dakota, isn't it? I mean, between what we get, our local mix versus our Ross Ticknauer up in Wisconsin, or Craig DaCosta in Hawaii, or people all over the place are listening.
Yeah, like I'm getting ready, and I'm not going to do a lot of new shows because to be honest, and this is not a knock on you guys in any way. Like those shows take up time that I now have to devote to We Are Libertarians. Like you guys don't, because you guys
we're almost self-sufficient now.
Right,
we got
exactly.
the training wheels off.
But I'm not gonna guest host like I co-host with Miranda on Miranda's World. Like I'm not gonna do any more of those type of shows because I've got to focus on We Are Libertarians. I'm gonna do some solo shows on the Chris Spangle show. Like I'm gonna break down the Saudi Arabia stuff if I get some time to sit down and behind the microphone and break that down. But we've got another show that we're going to launch that's libertarian news focused, kind of similar but different to We Are Libertarians. And the person was just like, yeah, I don't know if we should go with that name because nobody knows who I am. I'm like, you're out of the box going to get 500 to 1,000 listeners on your first show just
Absolutely.
because you're attached to the network. And so you don't need to worry about your name ID because we're going to build it that way. So it's really cool to see our wall audience support the 7 other shows.
That guy, I don't know if you've done the official announcement, but he and I are from the same small county in New York State.
That's very funny.
That's where he gets all of his. We're the birthland for all of his hosts.
Yeah.
St. Lawrence County, New York. That's the homeland of Wall.
Well, now I know where to send Bittner back.
That's right.
But yeah, like we've built a really cool thing, and I intend to be a full-time political commentator, in the next few years. I mean, that's really what I want to do, and We Are Libertarians, I think I've realized over the last year that this audience is going to allow me to do that as long as I keep working hard and giving them what they want. And what has really come out of the last few months is a relationship with the audience. Like the audience has become a friend in a really weird, abstract way. And it goes from being like this fun hobby that you're just joking around and doing this with your friends in your living room to, oh, there's an audience out there, and it's not just Christy Avery, because for a long time it was just Christy Avery. She was our fan.
And now I look across the room, and there's Christy
right,
Avery.
Yeah, I can't get rid of her now, but but I'm glad because there's like when Christy has been a huge financial support to the network, to me.
She's your armed bodyguard. I thought that's what she told me when she came in. Is she was going to be packing heat and protect Chris at all costs here in the hood.
But she's also been a great fan. But now there's people who equal her intensity in fandom for this product. Maybe. I mean, they're not here stalking me.
Your Southern fan gave me 1 star. 1 star today.
But yeah, there's a really great community, and I'm now not just doing this show to hang out with my friends on a Thursday night. I'm doing this show out of responsibility to an audience, and that is a mindset shift. But I also have to keep in mind that I have to have fun, and the people that show up Thursday night have to have fun. And as long as we're having fun in that conversation, then it's going to work. It'll be fine. The audience will get out of it. I thought last night's show, episode 244, I think. 44, with Harry, where we talked about gun rights, we talked about DST. I thought that was a really good show. It was just Harry and I having a conversation about a bunch of these subjects, and Harry and I had a good time talking, and we were joking back and forth, and I just thought, it'll take me a minute to kind of get that chemistry to where I want it again, but I'm excited about it because I really feel like I'm at a point in time where I don't know. It's you can look at change with change always there's fear in it, and you can be paralyzed by the fear. You can drive through the fear, and you can there's thousands of people watching right now, and not to this, but to We Are Libertarians, and that's a stressor, and I'm embracing it with a positive attitude, saying I can rethink and reshape things in a way that will not only make our audience happier, but also me happier, and do things in a different way that I think are going to be more fun for me. Not that what we were doing wasn't fun; it was so much fun. We're just it's just different. Different doesn't mean bad, it's different.
We're just moving on to the next thing, which is awesome.
And there's been multiple points where We Are Libertarians in 6 years, every podcast morphs. This podcast will morph. Every podcast has evolutions, and different just doesn't mean bad. And I think I'm at a point right now where I'm just choosing not to make it bad. I'm choosing to look at it like It's just different, and how do you make different fun and good?
We're excited that Dakota can be a part of the show tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, in the little bit of program content we had, I mentioned New York State earlier being my homeland. I still have people there. New York, the Morrells, the homeland.
Go Yankees.
Yankees. I've got Yankee family and Mets family. Either one's fine with me. I don't care. I'm a Rays fan. So the
Lindsay Peavy is hitting me up.
Man, you got you're in the DMs over there
stealing her cat.
So anyway, the New York State people, I don't know if you know this, Spangle, but in every other year that ends in 7, meaning 2017, 1997, 1977, or 67, 87, somewhere in there, the state of New York has the opportunity to do a constitutional convention. Every 20 years, it's on the ballot.
Silly.
So they had the chance to go in and rewrite the Constitution completely if they wanted to. It was on the ballot yesterday. And I started seeing all of my New York family and friends freaking the hell out. And I'm like, what is this? First of all, who asked for Constitutional Convention? What is it? Yeah. The New York State voters have the chance every 20 years to say, yes, we want to open up the Constitution, and then they can just basically call a special session and do what they want.
Right. And it's been written into their Constitution since the year 1938.
And they've only actually agreed to let them open it up once since the 30s, and it was 1967. They called the General Assembly back, or whatever their branch is. They went through, passed a bunch of stuff, put it before the voters, and they all voted no.
Yep.
So this is the.
So it's really kind of strange because the voters have to vote on Election Day. They have to say yes, we want to host a constitutional convention. And then after all the legislators meet up and they have all their proposed amendments or whatever, and they're all voted on through the House, it is then given to the voters, and the voters decide yes or no again. So like super democracy.
So in Indiana, what we do is you can amend the Constitution at any point,
right? But
you have to go through, and it has to get approved twice by the General Assembly. So two different, like over a 4-year period, it has to be passed twice. And then it gets on the ballot, and the voters get to vote on it, and that's how we wind up with these stupid property taxes that are due Tuesday that are in the Constitution now.
Don't have to pay property taxes if you don't own property.
It's not true because your rent you're paying even more. You get taxed at 2% in your home instead of 1%.
Not my problem.
Yeah, except it's in your rent payment, sir. Anyway, the people in New York they don't get the chance to amend the Constitution whenever they want to. So there were all kinds of different groups that were in favor and opposed. You had like the majority leader in the Senate was a Democrat and was in favor of it, and the minority leader was a Republican and he was in favor of it. But then you would have other.
Yeah, but
it
then
was
you
not
have
politically
the
same.
The majority leader in the House, he was against it, and he was a Democrat. So it's just
it was all over the place.
Yeah, it was crazy, and everybody that was for it, it just seemed like they were like, oh yeah, well, if we open it up, then we can have this put in there, and it's like, well,
we can have free ponies for everybody.
Yeah,
at no charge.
And it was absolutely ludicrous because it was everybody just wanting to put their own part into the Constitution.
And then it turned into fear, where the gun people are like, oh my God, they're going to take our guns away. Yeah. And the real driving force was the public unions got involved.
Yeah,
and they started.
The AFL-CIO got in and said, hey, if they open this up, then a lot of the more conservative people in your legislature, which it's New York State, okay? Mm-hmm. Think about that for a second. A conservative in New York is not the same as a conservative in Indiana. Like John Gregg, who ran for mayor as a Democrat in Indiana, governor in 2016, he a
year ago today,
he would be a Republican if he went up to New York.
Very nearly.
Absolutely. Yeah, the problem with the Constitutional Convention idea, and I've seen a lot of constitutional conservatives and Republicans and libertarians even argue for this idea, and it's so stupid because it's like the same concept as libertarians saying, I hope it all burns down tomorrow and then we can rebuild it. It's like, do you really think that in this society, with the way that people, like, after 100 years of brainwashing through the media and the school system towards progressive ideas,
are you ever going to get something better than what's in the law right now?
Right. We're going to get a more libertarian society if everything burns down, or if that we have a constitutional convention. Like, libertarians have to look at what progressives did 100 years ago with Eugene Debs and the Progressive Party and the Socialists in 1912, 1908, when Eugene Debs said his goal as the head of the Socialist Party from Terre Haute, Indiana, he said, my goal is not to win the presidency. My goal is to move the Democratic Party left. And if you look at the 1912 Socialist Party platform that he ran on, it's like Barack Obama's and Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders' entire. I mean, it's Bernie Sanders is to the left of that platform. now, and it's because they had a plan, a 100-year plan, to move people towards that place, and that's where libertarians have to start. That's where constitutional conservatives have to start. We have to start thinking about education. That's one of the reasons I started the podcast, is that I felt that I could be more effective doing this than through electoral politics. You can have a constitutional convention, but you're not going to get you're going to get more democracy. Like, the democratic process in California is because of Eugene Debs. Eugene Debs,
in California, you just have an idea, put it on the ballot, everybody votes yes or no.
And people can vote on it. And part of that platform also was removing the Senate appointments by the legislature towards popular vote. And now you have a Senate. The whole point of the Senate was to cool the passions of the people, which were represented in the House. And the Senate was designed to kind of cool all that and slow the entire process down and keep all of these big government ideas from creeping in.
You have to change the legislature out before you can change the senator
Exactly,
out.
But now you've got people like Roy Moore and Steve Bannon putting all these Roy Moore-like people in, and they're basically going to destroy the Senate. Yep. And so it's hilarious to watch constitutional conservatives destroy the very thing that is keeping us from completely slipping into a socialist union-like European state. And the Constitutional Convention really is just a dangerous idea for that very reason.
So what did happen is, obviously yesterday was Election Day. It failed 80-20. I don't know what can carry 80% in a state, but not opening that up worked. They had the perfect coalition of liberals and conservatives and independents that were scared to death the other guy was going to get power. And they voted no.
Yep, the gun people were saying they're going to take our guns, and the anti-gun people were saying we'll never be able to take their guns. It was that every side was terrified that the other side was going to implement the things they didn't want.
Which is exactly the reason I'm a libertarian, because I'm always afraid of giving the other guy more power. Right? Yeah. That's why we're in charge of smaller government, or interested in smaller government. All right, so one more piece of big news that we wanted to get to, Dakota.
It was my Uncle Rand got
your
assaulted.
Your Uncle Rand appears to have some trouble interacting with his neighbors.
Yeah, that was crazy. Were we in Nashville whenever we saw that? Yeah,
we were. He lives in Bowling Green. We drove right through the town.
Yeah, we drove right through, and
he was probably choppered right over us as we came across.
Yeah, probably. Should have went and visited my Uncle Rand in the hospital.
So apparently,
so heartless of me.
The senator lives in a private gated community with all these covenants, and news stories are starting to trickle out now that he got in a little bit of a brawl with the next door neighbor over lawn clippings.
It started out, and it was like Rand Paul's been assaulted in his home. He's fine. He has minor injuries, whatever. And then it comes out like 2 days later, and his chief advisor, which is like Doug something. It's not Doug Stamper, but it was very close to that. And I was like, oh, my God. No, but he comes out and he's like, yeah, actually, Rand he's got 5 broken ribs. 3 of his ribs are displaced and very close to his lungs, and his lungs are bruised. So it's like,
have any of you had that before?
My dad has. It's terrible.
Yeah. I remember when your dad had it. When I had it in 7th grade in football, I got hit and I broke a rib, and I broke it right here, and it was 2 months of the worst agony I've ever had in my life. It is awful.
So obviously we're desperately wanting him to get better and wish him well.
Yeah, it was.
Maybe you should just be nicer.
Well, yeah.
That was the thing.
It's turned
I
into
ran
a bunch
across
of hit pieces on libertarianism, unfortunately.
Yeah, I ran across this GQ article, and it was like, it says, the headline is, Rand Paul sounds like an asshole neighbor.
Right. And
I was like, what? Like this is the same piece. If someone were to say something about a rape victim, they'd be like, stop victim shaming. You're victim blaming. You literally just said, you just excused a man for beating another guy within an inch of his life because he was composting leaves on the property.
Well, yeah, the gist of the article was basically, he's a libertarian, so he deserved it because he doesn't believe in homeowners associations and like.
They're like, libertarians don't like to follow rules.
It's funny because he literally turned into, and Jared can tell you this, he literally turned into a libertarian parable. There are these parables that libertarians tell each other, like, well, what if, and always with the gun rights. It's it's this situation. Well, what if my neighbor comes onto my lawn and blows leaves on my lawn? Well, then you have a right to hit him with your own personal nuclear weapon.
Yeah.
Like, he literally became
happened.
a libertarian. He basically was blowing leaves onto the other guy's lawn, and so the guy just got mad and, like, he had sound deadeafening earmuffs on.
Yeah.
And the guy just
on his zero
football
turn mower.
Well, and this was like after he'd blown the leaves. I guess it was like a week before. And this dude had gone to the HOA, and they were like, "Yeah, we'll talk to Mr. Paul, whatever."
Right.
And apparently they never did anything.
So it's their fault.
So
Government inaction.
So the guy spears him.
Yeah.
He literally football spears him
off of a zero-turn bomb.
Right.
His Dixie chopper just goes off into the lake.
He's a 59-year-old anesthesiologist, which is the richest of all the doctors.
And he's an inventor as well.
They're next door. They're next door. This is how big the neighborhood is. They're next door neighbors, but the homes are 300 feet apart.
Right.
Yeah.
And they have worked together before. They've lived together for 17 years. He's a super, like, hardcore Democrat, but, like, they just hate each other. They're probably just two alpha type jerks.
It's Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon.
It's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And then they'll probably like Jefferson and Adams write each other on their deathbed. Yeah. Paul still lives.
All right. Well, prayers for Senator Paul.
Thoughts and prayers.
We are at the end of our scheduled time, so we. Final thoughts takes forever. Don't you worry, dear leader.
Oh, I know.
So, Mr. Chase Peyton, your first appearance on the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. This is the time where you get to plug whatever it is. If you need to plug Main Source Bank and ask them to bring your money back from Miami,
Yes, please give me my money back.
please, because he owes me $50 from Nashville, and I need that back.
Hopefully by the end of the week.
Maybe
We're fingers crossed, everybody.
a biblical jubilee where he clears your debt.
Yes.
Right? Come on now.
Okay. All right.
That's
First
it?
off,
That's all you got?
oh, hold on.
All right.
We missed a big part of the Bachelor story.
Did we?
So I'm gonna
This
say
is where
I'm
we
gonna
fill
tell
things in.
Anyways, first off, I want to thank you for having me on.
It's our
I've been
pleasure.
a listener for a while, so I was excited to do this. Second off, we were leaving the first bar while we were in Nashville. First night, first bar. We're a little buzzed. We had been there for a couple hours, and we're walking, we're talking. And I look over.
Oh, my, yes.
And Dakota makes eye contact with me, and he's got this weird grin on his face. And we're walking pretty fast, and next thing I know, BAM! Hits the road sign with his face. I mean, as hard as he can.
Just the road signs just vibrating.
It was so funny.
We saw a house across the street that had red lights.
Shiny object.
Yeah, like
we found the Amsterdam
it
district.
had red lights, and I was like, and I'm trying to read the sign and figure out what it says. So I'm like looking and reading, and then all of a sudden I just smoke a.
He stopped
freaking,
hard.
Yeah,
Stopped him completely.
If you're a sports fan and you like football, he should probably be in concussion protocol this week. Like, it was hard.
Yeah, we broke him. I thought you were going to tell the story. I think it was you that we walked outside of the bar to go stand outside for a minute. Cousin Rick had arrived, and you tried to walk out through the main doors, and the bouncer came out and chased you down.
yeah. He walked out the main doors, and he has his beer in his hands, and the
I didn't
dude
know
comes
which way you guys went.
Hey, you can't take your beer out here.
And I had the beer over the fence. It wasn't even like I was drinking it at the time.
Man.
You were like,
You
oh,
live and learn,
sorry,
you know
I
what I'm
just thought
saying?
that this was the right door. And he's like, no, man.
All right. Was there anything else major that we have to cover, that we should cover, that we need to cover? Or are we going to leave it there?
I think we should just leave it there.
I think that's the safe place to be.
Yeah. So
How do we follow you? People add you as Chase Peyton on the Facebook. Do you want fans?
sure, if you want to add me. It's just Chase Peyton. That's really the only thing I'm on. I don't post anything ever. So
Snapchat, Instagram.
If I was you, I wouldn't add me. I don't have an Instagram. My Snapchat is Bro Montana 95. There's a story behind that, but we're not going to get into it
There's
tonight.
a pretty good story behind that.
Bro
really.
Montana 95. All right. Well, you can add Chase.
Were you born in 1995?
I was.
Oh, God.
96.
Yeah, I know.
I know. You and I are 83.
How old were you when 9/11 happened?
Oh, man.
What grade were you in?
Like
kindergarten.
Yeah, like 6, maybe 7.
Dakota was
I barely remember it.
Dakota was on our 9/11 episode. This is the kind of podcast we are. We host a live podcast at a comedy club and then do an episode about 9/11 there. And Dakota was on it, and he thought that Saddam Hussein did 9/11. And we were like, no, it was Osama bin Laden. He's like, I never learned that.
Either or.
I'm like, yeah.
Try higher education.
It was stunning. It was one of the most.
They have the same face in my mind.
Try High doesn't tell you much about
Close enough.
that.
We
That's
got
going to
them
tell
both.
you how to grade crops with Daniel Webb in the ag school.
Now, is it try high because you'll try anything?
We'll try anything twice.
All right. Well, thank you, Chase, very much. Dear leader.
It is always nice to visit one of my kingdoms.
We tried to clean it up as best we could for you.
It looks very nice. I'm very impressed with Dakota's house. It's very stylish. It's very clean. It far exceeds anything that I have at 34. I mean, he's far too responsible for a 21-year-old. So I'm very proud of my boy Dakota, and very happy about his wedding. I will be attending. Lindsay Peavy and I are going together.
Are you?
No, she doesn't know. She doesn't know yet, but...
I told you were allowed to come to the reception.
See, that's an insult because I'm a Christian and I want to celebrate in the important part, and you won't let me because you hate me and Jesus.
I will try to talk to Lindsay and have her bring you as her guest.
That's exactly
Who's
what I want to
walking
hear.
her down the aisle?
Lindsay?
Is she?
That
she
would
number
be
one?
Trevor.
Trevor's one.
So just take.
Oh
his
wait, no.
Hell yeah.
Trevor's. Yeah, Trevor's.
I'm going to punch him at the
Trevor's
church.
number one.
Trevor's number
Where's
one.
his tux?
If he doesn't show up, just take a spot.
You got Chase and Chloe.
Yeah, Trevor is walking with Lindsay.
Okay.
Chase is walking down with Chloe.
Anagnos?
No.
Oh, Chloe Chu.
And
there's-
Jeremiah
there's
is walking
another
down with
option.
my sister.
I am going to take good care of your sister.
Gross. So it's nice to be here. Nice to see everybody. I appreciate you inviting me on. I look forward to seeing you all in 28 episodes in the future. So for episode
57?
Episode 57. Let's make it 60.
We'll write it down.
Episode 60.
Yeah, I was really trying to get you here for episode 30, but it just wasn't working out.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was like, we had Kat and Agnos here for our big 25, whatever.
Just release this, do another one.
Yes, because this news will hold.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so if
They're
people
like,
want
they're talking about Rand Paul 3 months after it happened.
So people want to follow you at Chris Spangle on the Twitter, wearelibertarians.com.
You can just go to wearelibertarians.com, follow everything We Are Libertarians. You're more than welcome to follow me on any of my personal stuff. Follow me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Yeah, so feel free.
Get in those DMs, ladies. All right, Dakota.
All right, well, I'm very disappointed in our listeners this week, Jeremiah. Nobody sent me or tagged me in a comment in Citizens of Henry County.
The only thing I saw was David Herring saying, don't do this. It's a terrible, terrible idea.
No, see, so I actually had to find one myself. And it is I'm not going to name any names or anything, but it is a picture of a phone number on a cell phone, and it said, "This is the number tried calling me today," and said that the IRS us trying to collect a debt and that they are going to sue me. Well, guess what? Period. I don't owe them. Period. Never have. Period. Please let your friends and family know so they don't give out info. And it was everybody this is a scam. This people trying to scam you. Oh, just a scam. Just ignore it. Same thing happened to me. I told them that I hung up and called the police, and then they said that they were going to try to arrest me. Never came. I'm like, this is the type of golden stuff that's in this group. I've been hounding on every single person that listens to this show. Please, just try to join this group. It is
Chad Malacote, I apologize for the hellfire that's being rained down upon your inbox right now. Citizens of Henry County.
Okay.
There's about 8,000 people.
I'm back,
there
so
now.
I have to join.
You are. You're a local again.
There are some good things that happen in that group. Like this week, a little boy's bike was found that was stolen from his house. So good stuff happens in that
You
group.
guys adopted a cat off of it?
Yeah. But then, you find stuff like this, and it is just...
Boomer Rage. All right, follow him, a Tokad Savad on the Twitter.
That's right.
10 days, I can count on two hands until he's a married man, and that left hand's just a little heavier than the right.
Please tag him in the group and ask why he didn't invite me to his wedding. I don't get invited to the bachelor party. I don't get invited hunting. I don't get invited to the bridal shower.
made it
I don't get
very-
invited to the wedding.
Invited to... Yeah, that was the other thing. He got upset this week whenever he found out that he wasn't invited to the bridal shower.
Yeah,
I love Audrey.
My date Sarah is girlfriend, lovely Sarah Potter, is at the bridal shower. Snapchat group, and Spangle's like, "Oh my God, another thing I can't go to."
No, another thing I didn't get invited to. This circle of friends is letting me down in my time of need. The only one I have left is Christy Avery.
Hey, will you and
No,
Christy go?
I don't want to hear your excuses.
Will you and
Talk
Christy?
to the hand.
Will you and Christy go Saturday to the Antelope Club with me in the morning?
We already have to. We're already slaves to the SEC. Yeah.
Can't wait. Gonna be a great time. All right, so
Jeremiah.
follow Dakota. Final thoughts from me. I have
Please.
none. You have exhausted me. All I'm going to do is pitch next week's show. This one, I know Spangle has brought an incredible number of people. The thousands of people that are listening, I hope you've enjoyed sampling We Are Libertarians. Last week's episode, Americans for Prosperity, Justin Stevens was on, covered a number of different issues. That's going to be fun. Big show coming up for episode 30. Mike Kreider, state senator, will be here in the studio. He is running for 6th District Congress as a Republican. I know, it's terrible, but
Please don't stop.
we'll have some fun. There's a cat sneaking into the studio.
Come here, kitty.
Run it off.
It's like Animal Planet.
Anyway, check out next week's episode as well. We appreciate everybody that's listening, and we'll see you all soon.
Thank you for listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Get our other shows at WeareLibertarians.com.